This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, September 13. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Bear with us. Small Business and Commerce Minister Dwight Sutherland made the call today as he acknowledged the difficulties businesses are experiencing with the recently implemented ASYCUDA World system by the Customs Department. Members of the business community have complained about their goods being held up. But Minister Sutherland assures there is a system in place to facilitate transactions as efforts continue to fix the teething problems.
We recognize there were some disruptions, and indeed Customs has put systems in place. I don't want to or cannot go into the actual details for the lack of the technical knowledge. I'm not the controller of Customs, but I know that Massey is pleased to know that they will be handled on a case-by-case basis so that they can get the containers out of port to carry on with the business of commerce in this country. So just bear with us, it's not going to last. With any new systems come teething problems.
He maintains the ASYCUDA system is the best for the country as efforts continue to improve the ease of doing business.
But there is a plan within Customs right now. Because once the system is up and running, you would expect, just like Christmas, you're going to be a flood of persons coming. But you know when you go to the port during Christmas, you have a flood as well. But people get their goods within a reasonable time frame. And I want to congratulate the team who work on the ASYCUDA World, indeed to ensure that we have a system that will improve the ease of doing business in this country.
Sutherland was speaking on the sidelines of the reopening of a Massey supermarket in Oistins. Today, a new state-of-the-art facility that was closed for upgrades since May welcomed a stream of shoppers. Chief Executive Officer of Massey Stores, Randall Banfield, told reporters the store, which is smaller in size, has 65 employees. He says Massey remains committed to enhancing the shopping experience for customers.
It would be in the vicinity of a couple of $1 million, so that, but it was a renovation. It's in the vicinity of a few $1 million. It would be probably you know, but we are talking about a store that has not had a serious facelift for many years. It had become outdated. And if you look at what Massey has been doing with its retail stores over the past several years, we would have had a complete reconstruct at Sunset Crest. We've now done this. We took over the Coverley store, and we're very happy with how that presents as far as convenience and ambiance is concerned. And when we're finished this, we would like to get to our store at Worthing, because that is also due for some renovation and some upgrade.
The Ministry of Health has warned the public about the dangers of vaping, particularly on the heels of reports of a rash of deaths and severe breathing illnesses linked to the habit in the United States. In a statement issued today, the ministry said the cause of the illnesses, which have so far resulted in 6 deaths, was still not entirely clear, but investigations were ongoing by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food and Drug Administration. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George said the fairly recent fad, mostly among teenagers and young adults, involves smoking flavored e-cigarettes with nicotine oils and, more recently, marijuana oils. The ministry advised that particularly minors, pregnant women and people who have never smoked should avoid vaping since they were at increased risk of adverse reactions, including respiratory illnesses. People who vape were warned against using homemade solutions, and the ministry stressed that it did not recommend e-cigarettes as an aid to quit smoking. Barbados' Consul General to Miami is warning Barbadians traveling to the popular shopping destination to secure their travel documents. Neval Greenidge, a former veteran police officer, says there has been an unusually high number of theft of passports, particularly from cars of shoppers in the Hialeah area. He warned that leaving passports on the seats in locked cars was not enough to guarantee they would not be stolen. He said replacing passports after a theft can be costly, and he urged Barbadian travelers to protect their documents and to avoid exposing items they have brought in plain view in unattended vehicles.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, residents in several northwestern islands of the Bahamas are bracing for heavy rains and high winds this weekend. This as a tropical disturbance moves slowly over the island. Forecasters say the system could become a tropical storm within the next 2 days. And even as residents ready themselves yet again for a system, this as the search continues for scores feared missing. In this report from the Nassau Guardian, we hear that just over 300 shantytown residents in Abaco are still to be found.
More than 300 residents of Haitian shantytowns have been reported missing. That's according to officials from a newly formed United Haitian Community Front. That committee, which was formed in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, is made up of religious leaders and human rights groups from the local Haitian community. Organizations backing the committee include the Haitian League of Pastors and Rights Bahamas. Rights Bahamas President Stephanie St. Fleur says one of their biggest concerns is the number of shantytown residents still missing after the storm.
During the crisis, what Human Rights Bahamas have been doing with NEMA, we've formed the group Abaco Relief, and we were having families send in the names of their family members and pictures. And so far, I think I've sent 3 pages into NEMA, totaling into 309 so far, and we're still continuing to gather names of missing persons.
The preliminary Abaco Shantytown Assessment Report 2018, released last December, showed that 3,041 people resided in 6 shantytowns on Abaco, inclusive of Sandbanks, Farm Road, L&H and Treasure Key, The Mud, Pigeon Peas, and Elbow Key. The study surveyed 777 households and indicated that The Mud was the most densely populated shantytown with 51.4% of the population, followed by Pigeon Peas with 19%. Following Dorian, both the Pea and Mud were flattened. St. Fleur says the majority of those considered missing lived in the Mud and Pigeon Peas communities in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. And given the devastation caused in those shantytowns, members of the committee say there are many people who now need help.
On the international front, the body of former Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe arrived in Harare today, but his final resting place remains a mystery amid a dispute between some family members and the government. More in this report from Al Jazeera Television.
Saying goodbye was too painful for some. The body of Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe's former leader, lies in state at Rufaro Stadium in the capital, Harare. This is where he was sworn in as Prime Minister at independence in 1980. Thousands came to pay their respects.
I'm in pain, but last week, after to see him and pay my last respect, it was so hating to lose him. He was a very good man to me. And even to, I can say to the whole country, he was a very good man.
There was a stampede when some of the mourners tried to jump the queue to view Mugabe's body. But most people waited patiently. This is the only time they will be allowed to get this close and say goodbye to Zimbabwe's founding leader. But there is still confusion over where Mugabe will be buried. Some family members have made it clear they are still bitter at the way he was ousted from power by the army in 2017. That means the government's plan to bury him on Sunday might not happen. The family says his body will be in Zimba, his rural village, that day.
No, we are not witnessing the burial on Sunday. What is supposed to happen on Sunday is that we are supposed to go to Murombe's growth point for the people of Zimba, Mashona and the West to pay their last respect.
Until the dispute is resolved, Mugabe's supporters say they've come to say thank you to the man who liberated the country from white minority rule, educated them and gave black Zimbabweans land.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Isoni Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.